ready when you are, sir. There we go. Call to order the Greenwood Redevelopment Commission on this, the 13th day of August, 2024. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Campbell,
Here.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. Hopper,
Here.
Mr. Hoover,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
non-voting advisor, Mr. Zaborowski.
Here.
Thank you.
Form that everybody is present in the building. May I have a motion to approve our regular minutes from our July? I'll motion that. Second. Mr. Harris, second. Mr. Campbell. Any corrections, deletions? Hearing none. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Minutes are approved 5-0. No new business, no old business. Capital project report, Madison Avenue and Pearl Street. First request for consideration to issue.
Yeah, so this is the property that we purchased there when it was between the fund. Historically, it was Costco Gels. They've gotten really dilapidated. Johnson County Board of Health had largely shut it down. Sat there for a few years, so we purchased it, demolished it. This just kind of shows you where it is. Sorry I didn't make it all the way up to Euclid, but bigger, Broadway. Addition to this building. The rest of it. Work with REA through this board just to kind of do some massing. The idea would be, or at least that we're throwing out, to the development community, the private sector, would be to put some sort of commercial building up against the trail, kind of fill in one of the knocked out teeth in Old Town, and then you could obviously have a little parking behind it. Again, this is not what we're mandating. This is just a suggestion that has gone through REA, fits on there, and also has been kind of vetted by our planning and the Unified Development Ordinance, and shows what could happen, if that makes sense, rather than just grab a lot. This imagines it if it was an eating establishment, which we've got several now in Old Town Greenwood, that you could put a little eating establishment up on the corner, have some immediate parking in the back, would be on the trail. This is all included in the RFI. There it is before, lovely, right? There it would look from a trail user. We go through what some of that development may cost, just on the site, just so people know. We'll go back to a prettier picture. But so the general dealers were asked the board to issue out, I guess, or a request for information, just like we did with the old middle school. There's a timeline in there. I think we would try to award basically before Christmas, and get in the submissions, have time to review them. Some of you guys are here during we did this for the much bigger project at the middle school, and just see what the private sector has to offer. If there's nothing, then we can be patient. We know a lot of folks are waiting to see what happens with the interest rates and other things, but this allows us to meet the statutory concerns of seeing what redevelopment opportunities there are for the private sector.
Any questions for Kevin? And is there a motion? So that's what we need, right? Motion to approve. This out for request for information. So I'll second Mr. Hoover, second Mr. Harris. Comments from anyone? All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is 5-0.
So we'll just keep that in mind, and we'll publish it and then brief the board obviously on any response. The next is cleanup with Worsville Road and the sports park, which opened September 6th, I believe. They already got the first tournament scheduled. There's like 5 scheduled through the group that's been hired by the Parks Department. And they're planning a opening, I think, 2 days before or in the first week of September. And so this, man, have we done change order 2? No, so, yeah, so with John Shaw retiring, I kind of picked up all the change orders and combined them and made it neat. As you see, we had 2 that were down, the first one at 507, the second one at 15,000. We've had 4 that go up, and this kind of outlines all through it. But if you look at the overall total between the 6 change orders for the project on the original $10 million contract, we ended up at, or currently at $116,554.94 gain, which is about 1.2%. So really pretty happy with that, and pretty happy to be putting this thing to bed. So.
Is it really to bed? Is this, I mean, you think there'll be more changes?
Oh, I think there'll be some more change orders as we square up quantities and stuff on some of the fields and everything else. But I mean, as far as the construction process, all the big elements are in place. The 4 fields are out there, or the 8 fields are out there. The 2 concession / control rooms on the upstairs are being punch list. Playground equipment's all in. Splash pad equipment, I've seen it work and it is on. The bathroom up there, the north side's on. The maintenance building's up and operable. A lot of what we're doing now is a lot of the landscape punch list, and then obviously they've been slowly cutting the fields down to like 2 3/4 inches, which is apparently the playing length. But they're looking pretty good. So yeah, I think there'll probably be some squaring up, especially on the landscape corner piece at the end, but we'll get there.
Any questions for Kevin? Or is there a motion to approve change orders 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? You, Mr. Miller?
I'll motion that.
Second by Mr.
Yes.
Okay. Second by Mr. Harris. Any other comments, questions?
Question, Kevin, on your chart that you presented, there's 6 change orders.
I did that. I put the first one on there, but you approved that back in June 2022.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to put the
Never
full
mind.
number on there.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor, aye. All those opposed, nay. All right, motion approved 5-0. Next up, Emerson Avenue median improvements.
Yes, so years ago, 2019, we did an Emerson Avenue project. The trees are starting to grow up into the medians and look good. Currently, Indianapolis is about to be done with their long project to match our Emerson Avenue with the same amount of lanes. One thing that we struggle with, and this is the concurrent condition, but it shows where we go, is we never could figure out what to do on the tips of the intersections. So they're currently just all dead from people turning over them, salt in the winter, and our prolonged times without rains. The tips of the medians, essentially the very ends. If you drive down Emerson, you can see that now. So we thought about for a long time, perhaps not maybe as hastily as I should. What do we do? Put in bricks. That didn't seem appropriate. There's not really any brick infrastructure. Do we just pave the corners? That kind of seems counter to what we were trying to do to dress it up and make it. Do we see if we can sleeve irrigation? That was prohibitively expensive. So then we looked around and found, and this is actually at Lake Cook Road, which is County Line Road between Cook County and Lake County in Illinois, right where the Walgreens headquarters is, variety of commercial uses and headquarters, and with cobble that we've used on other things, and then kind of glazed or not really, but liquid sealed into the deal. And so that's what we propose to put on the ends of all the intersections on Emerson to kind of dress it up and enhance it more. And I had it told. I got stuck in a fire in front of me. We'll test it.
I gave a copy to Mr. Hopper.
I got it.
Full contract.
Oh, it's
49 to 48.
$48,618.
So that would be payable from the east side to, and we just kind of enhance those. central medians, actually. Yeah, exactly, that's exactly right, 48,682.
You doubt anything, Kevin?
No, honestly, I just doubted myself. There's been a lot.
And you say, Kevin, that's all those,
Yeah, it's all the ends. In fact,
Whatever.
Counselor Watson's probably very much as I'm talking about, right, works right there. So all the ends are basically just brown.
That's right.
Between salt and sun and drought and cars, they're not. We had to find something that was hardscape that was appropriate. Brick just wouldn't match our staff now, and so we're going with decorative.
and that's all sealed? and so
Yeah,
it's
they kind
locked in
of,
place?
what that they use on the ADA joints? Oh gosh, with the brick, it's not a grout, but it's polymetric. Yes, polymetric type situation. And it's like we see on those brick ADA where you have to stand between the bricks in like hotel, polymetric sand.
That matches any safety concerns that.
Yeah, I mean,
might
people are already driving on anyway, so it's grouted in there, so it's not gonna move, and it's just prettier than doing like what they did on 31, which was give up and asphalt part of it or concrete it over time. You just can't get grass down in those corners. But overall, I think Emerson's a good place.
Any other questions for Kevin? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the Mendoza Landscape Contractors? I'll make the motion. Motion, Mr. Cagle. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Hooper. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion is approved 5-0.
Thank you. And then,
So you have something else?
no, Mark had a walk on. Were you gonna put that under his?
Yeah, that's where I was gonna put it.
Okay, sounds good.
Monthly financial report. Mr. Stone.
And do you need the computer?
I don't. Good afternoon, hey everybody. I've got a handful of updates for you. The monthly financial report, I believe, is the first item. Biggest thing there is we've updated that with all of the June distributions, allocation of surplus transfers, as well as the pay 25 values. So nothing else on that other than those updates. With the next item we have is the neutralization update. We worked with Johnson County Auditor's Office and have worked through each of the allocation areas for pay 25 and worked to try to identify. And thank you, Kevin, actually helped also look for new construction parcels. The result of that is the incremental assessed values for the agreement RDC areas came in at $937,226,769. That's a 22% increase over 2024, and it's up $169 million year over year. Those are both in dollar and percent the largest increases since 2011, which is when we began tracking. So the top three areas, allocation areas, as far as percent of total now, Eastside continues to be the majority at 55% of the total captured AV assessed value, followed by now Central at 16% and Worsville Road at 14%. The fastest growing allocation areas as far as percent are actually Emerson Point, which are the new Garrett apartments to the south of the Ale Emporium property there on Emerson. The southwest allocation area, largely due to the Schwartz Flats, the Redwood properties, and some of that commercial development that's happening along 135. We're all starting to become assessed, and then the central expansion area continues to be one of the fastest growing. So those are the top three. As far as the slowest growing areas, there were really two that were notable. All had positive incremental growth, but the Fry Road allocation area was nominal. It was about a 2% or so increase. That's actually below the city's base growth as well. What I will say as you know, that one has been on our watch list for some time, really coming out of COVID. The mall's assessed value has been appealed multiple times successfully. So this is one of the first years since then that there actually is a positive increase in the overall allocation areas value. And the mall represents approximately 50% of that allocation. And then county line I-65 was relatively slow growth, but there's no project really going on there just yet. That's the property that the city owns just east of I-65 south of county. The growth trend as far as aggregate at the redevelopment commission level, these are percent growth overall for the last 4 to 5 years, starting with 2025. And these are year-over-year numbers, percent terms, 22%, 15%, 20%, 14%, and 9%. So with page 25 being the largest single year percent gain since we track. So that is sort of an update on where things are at. If timing is good, we have a couple different reporting obligations this year, which leads to my next aspect, the annual report.
Hey, Adam,
Yeah,
before you jump
please.
that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Does this assessed value, is that just commercial? We're talking about residential.
This is just commercial.
Okay.
Now, if there's, the only residential would be residential, non-owner occupied, like multifamily.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the assessed values? One of the city's assessed value actually just came in as well, and it was approximately an 8% increase. So when we look at the 22% versus the 8% in the city, you all know one of the metrics we look at is a 2 to 3 times multiple of tip growth versus the kind of base growth. So you're just at 22% versus 8, you're just sub a 3x multiple. So that's really good sign from our perspective that the tips are investing in areas that are growing at a faster rate. You know, they're creating that sort of differential. What all this leads to, we have in the next couple regular meetings, we're gonna have multiple reporting items we have to address. One is we'll work with Mr. Watson and legal department to prepare the appropriations for the TIP funds for 2025. And that will largely be based off of a revenue forecast that these assessed values will lead to, okay? Additionally, this year, by December 1st, we have to prepare and file a spend plan. And that will largely be an extension of that appropriation work. With a few nuances, and we've gotten ahead of that and worked with Mr. Watson on templates and drafts, kind of a general form of that. We just need to update it for these numbers. And then the most important one from a other tax unit perspective is we're targeting the November regularly scheduled meeting for the annual report to the tax units. So that's the report where we will share the RDC's plans, forecasts, et cetera, for the coming year. And that will be where we make invitations to schools, libraries, city, et cetera, to try to make sure to make that information visible. I'll pause there before I get to the budget. Any questions or anything for us? Okay, very good. And then the second handout I had was just a snapshot of the 2024 Redevelopment Commission General Fund budget. And after chatting with the city controller, it has been the sort of past practice to, unless there is a reason to change any budget category, to just basically, carry forward the budget. So I just wanted to provide that. That was as of July's data. All the categories are well below the budget estimate. So it was both his and I's recommendation that if it was the commission's pleasure to just pass a recommended budget equivalent to the 2024 budget, that would be a recommended budget that will get provided to the city council for final approval later this fall.
We need to put $4 more in just insurance. I assume that's our funds. Is that what that comes out of?
That's your official bonds, and yeah, we can kind of round that one up a little bit.
Looks like it's $3 short.
Yeah.
So Adam,
Yeah.
so the budget. So the original budget was 35.1, right?
Yep.
The revised budget's 37.
Yep.
I'm sorry, so the difference looks like it's in the other services and charges?
It's what they call carryovers.
Okay.
So at the end of each year, think about it this way, the original budget is the legally adopted council
Right.
budget.
Right.
The revised budget would be that plus any year-end budget carryovers that may have to do with like that November or December purchase order carryover. So that sort of happens to your benefit at the end of the year. If there's any outstanding accounts payables, the finance department will sort of suspend that budget and add it to the legally adopted budget.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I'll move that we approve the estimated general fund 2024 budget from the legacy as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Hoover, second by Mr. Harris. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. 5-0.
Hey, that's all I have.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Adam. Anything from Corporation Council? Sir, Mr. Watson?
We just have one small item to give you an update on. We have a relatively recent project agreement called Project Master Force. I believe they're the ones that are located on Emerson Avenue, just next door to the Sam's Club. I think they do Maribel installations and various things of that sort. In any event, we entered into a project agreement to give them some incentives. And those incentives totaled $100,000, broken up into 2 tranches based on milestones. First tranche being 50,000, the second tranche being another 50,000. Their first tranche would due this August, or they're entitled to claim it this August, by August 15. Their annual report was due last month, but they exercised their right to have a 1-month extension on that, so it'll be due by August 15 at this point. So we should expect to receive that here in the next couple of days, and then at the next meeting we'll further probably have a claim to process for that as well. Right. So, thank you.
See nothing from Mr. Wright. Mr. St. John, the floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon. The item I have on the agenda today is the draft CDA transition plan. I believe you all have been provided with a copy of that in your digital packets. We are required to have an ADA transition plan as recipients of federal funds. It identifies issues where we fall short of ADA standards on properties and facilities we own, and a plan to reach that in the future. RDC owns properties, so that's why we're here presenting it to you tonight. It will eventually go to council for public presentation and review and acceptance, but it's an opportunity for you all to comment on it. If you don't have comments today, that's fine. You can also send them to me or Sean Coons in the legal department in the next month or so.
Yeah.
And your walk-on, sir.
Yes, and Amanda, do you know if that ADA transition plan needs to be formally accepted by this board?
No, it's just informational.
Yeah, my walk-on was the second item tonight. I handed out some packets for you. The Indianapolis MPO, who administers federal transportation funding in central Indiana, has opened their 2024 call for projects. So there's more projects than there is funding, and so it's a competitive process across really the central Indiana, the donut communities in Indianapolis. There's 6 intersections that we think would be good roundabouts and might score well, and so I've engaged with BS Engineering for a scope and fee. They'll give us intersection scoping studies and an abbreviated engineering report. So they'll give us cost estimates, an exhibit. They'll look at crash data, traffic data, all sorts of things we need for the applications that are due by September 12th. It's a cost that is a not to exceed cost, so I can chop off an intersection at a time and say, hey, look at this intersection, we don't have to use the whole cost, we might use the whole cost. The total dollar amount is, I believe, $96,500 if we use all 6 intersections. Yeah, open to any questions you might have. I've been told by Mr. Steinmetz that all 6 of these intersections are eligible for TIF funding.
The only one I would have a question on that's not on here would be Honey Creek and Cut Center.
Yes, that is one that has been talked about in the past.
Okay.
I've seen some preliminary layouts for it. I think the biggest issue with that one has been traffic volume. I just don't think it would score well because the traffic volume on Cut Center isn't high enough. But I think long term, yes, that could be a roundabout. I think we'd like to see roundabouts at most of the major intersections on Honey Creek. And with our Cut Center Road project that has been awarded, goes to construction this fall, there will be a right turn lane on the left. So they'll break out the right turn, the left turn lane at Cut Center and Honey Creek, which I think will help with some of the delay. People get caught behind the 1 or 2 cars that are trying to turn left and they can't turn right there. The total dollar amount was $90,600. I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier.
Questions from our? Is there a motion to approve? Make that motion. Okay, what is your second? Second by Mr. Miller.
And where would the funding for this come from?
Do you need to know which individual?
Well, it looks like it's probably scattered throughout the various TIF districts.
That's correct. I can tell you which TIF for each roundabout if you'd like.
Well, somehow or other, it probably needs to be allocated in a reasonable fashion. I think probably the thing to do is, as we have done in the past, is delegate authority to allocate those costs to the various TIF districts in a reasonable or appropriate fashion.
Is that in everybody's motion? Okay, well, Mr. Miller, you all right with that? Okay. Done. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you
No,
for
thank
allowing
you.
me to walk on tonight.
Yeah, no problem. And. All right, is there a motion to approve our claims docket for the amount of $549,351.61?
So moved.
Motion second by Mr. Hoover, second by Mr. Harris. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. It's approved 5-0. Anybody else? It's just us on the internet, isn't it? There isn't anybody on the internet.
Low on the interest.
All right.
Troy, you might
We
want
are
to speak.